In this lecture, you're going to learn what the stack is in relation to the Intel processors. So the stack, in the context of an x64 architecture, basically 64-bit processors, is a continuous region of memory that operates in a last-in, first-out basis. And the stack is used whenever you call the call instruction, which you will learn about later. That's essentially the equivalent of calling a function in C, for example. The stack gets used in those cases. Stack is used to store local variables and even to pass arguments to functions if you're writing 32-bit code. So the stack does grow downwards from higher memory addresses to lower memory addresses by default. So the stack is made up of these following components. You have the RSP register. Now this holds the memory address of the current stack position, okay? So it holds the address where you will find the top of the stack in memory at that particular time. You have the base pointer register. Now this can be used to store an old stack pointer value that you want to use as a reference point on the stack. I'll show you how to use that shortly. Then you have the push and pop instructions. So with the push instruction, this pushes a value to the stack, okay? So how it does that, it decrements the RSP register by 8 bytes. This does assume you're on a 64-bit architecture and this is 64-bit code, okay? If you're writing 32-bit code, 32-bit programs, it gets decremented by 4 bytes, okay? So after decrementing by 8 bytes, we then copy 8 bytes of memory to the new decremented address held in the RSP register, okay? So if we did push RAX, for example, it's going to move the value, the 8-byte value, from the RAX register into the next stack position. And likewise, when you pop, it'll copy 8 bytes of memory at the address held in the RSP register to another register or memory address, depending on how you use the instruction. And then it increments the RSP register by 8 bytes. So for example, here we do pop a RAX just by here, right? So what this will do, it'll copy 8 bytes from where the current stack is pointing. It'll store that in the RAX register, and then it'll increment RSP by 8 bytes. So then the next time someone calls pop, it'll copy the next value on the stack. Okay, so you can think of it like this. We push, we add to the stack, we pop, we take from the stack. Okay, like these images represent. So this is a better example now, okay? So here you can see an example stack, okay? So we've got value 3 in this address, value 2 in this address, value 1 in this address, and you have the old top of the stack, or the current top of the stack in this particular case, at this address, okay? Now RSP, before we run a push instruction, is pointing at this address, just as an example. This is the example address I've chosen. Now after you call push RAX, this is how the new stack looks. So you can see our old top of stack value is still at its current position by here, but you can see the stack pointer, the RSP stack pointer, has been decremented, and the new value that we pushed, the RAX register value, is now here at this address ending with A8. So we've almost essentially decremented the stack pointer to make some room on the stack, and then we've added the value of RAX to that new address, okay? But the old top of the stack is still here, it's just 8 bytes up. So then if you were to call a pop on this, it would take that value back off the stack, increment the RSP register, and then it'll be pointing back to where it was before the push of RAX. So here's a pop example. So we can see before we do a pop RAX, we're at this position, okay? RSP is equal to this memory address. And after we call pop RAX, the value at the top is copied into the RAX register. The RSP register is incremented by 8 bytes. And now you can see the top of the stack is now at value 0, okay? The RSP is pointing to this address. And this memory, although it's still there, we now call this stale because essentially it's as good as gone, you know? We've popped that value off. Yes, it's still there in memory, but you shouldn't access it at this point because as far as we're concerned, we've popped off that value, okay? And the RSP register, obviously it's pointing 8 bytes upwards now to value 0. So through pushing and popping, it allows for recursion in your programs, okay? Which wouldn't be possible without a stack type of system. So when I say recursion, I mean where a function can call itself, for example. So this is a 32-bit stack frame example. Okay, now what a stack frame is essentially the memory that is reserved for your C functions. Okay, the memory on the stack. Okay, not the heap memory, not the memory you use with malloc and free, not that memory, the stack memory. Okay, and the stack memory is handled automatically when you use the C programming language. So to the left here, this is a 32-bit program because the 64-bit programs work differently and they're actually simpler. So I wanted to show you the more complicated 32-bit program so you can really understand how it works at the assembly level. So here we have our main C function. It calls a sum function and passes the value 50, 20. So 50 to the x, 20 to the y. It adds them together and returns that value, okay? So this is how that's generated. So first let's take a look at our main function by here. We can see we first push the EBP register. Now remember the registers lecture, RBP, okay, contains 32 bits and the EBP register, okay? That's what happens when we use the RAX, RBX, RCX. They hold their own 32-bit value, and the lower 32 bits is an E register, okay, like EAX, EBX, ECX. So don't forget that, okay, because it's important. So first we push the EBP register, okay, which is the lower 32 bits of the RAX register. Now this makes sense, okay, because this is a 32-bit program. So we don't have the RAX register in 32-bit programs, okay? We only have up to the EBP register, or the EAX, EBX, right? So why are we pushing EBP? Because we need to make a copy of it, because maybe EBP has been set to something else before, and overriding that value might affect some other code somewhere else in the program, okay? Like a recursive function call, for example. Or maybe you call a function within a function, and that changes the EBP, right? So by pushing it to the stack, we back it up, okay? We back it up to the stack. Similar to the last slides where I showed you where we're pushing things, okay? If you're still a bit confused, check back in this video again, a couple minutes before, and just take a look. Take a look at how the push instruction is working again. So we push that value to the stack, okay? The value of the EBP register. And then we move the current stack pointer, okay, into the EBP register. Now, why do we do that? Because we want a reference frame, okay? Now, in this particular example, we don't use that reference frame, but you'll see it in some in a moment when I go over that. Next, we push the value 20 to the stack, which is the second argument of the sum function. Then we push the value 50 to the stack, which is the first argument of the sum function. When you're working with 32-bit C programs, this is how they work. They push the arguments in reverse, okay? So 20 will be pushed to the stack, then 50. And then we call the sum function. Now, we haven't discussed what call is in detail yet, but essentially it's just the equivalent of calling like a function in C, for example, okay? We just call a subroutine, okay? So when we run call sum, it jumps to this code here, this sum routine. And then again, we back up the EBP. Now this demonstrates why we have to do that, right? Because we already used EBP here in the main function where we move the stack pointer to the EBP register. So in sum, when we enter sum, we back it up. Here, look, we push EBP. So then that allows us to then change it again. You get me? So we move the current stack pointer in the sum function into the EBP register. Now this stack pointer is going to be much different than the stack pointer we backed up in the main function. Now the reason is because we've pushed two values, which has decremented the ESP register, or the RSP register if it's in 64-bit, okay? Now once we've moved the stack pointer to the base pointer, we have a reference frame, and we can access those numbers that were pushed to the stack. How do we do this? We plus to it. Okay, so for example, here we move the value 50 into the EDX register. Now how do we do that? We do EBP plus 8. Now why do we do plus 8? For a couple reasons, okay? Because firstly, we've pushed the EBP register, okay? Now that's used 4 bytes. Why 4 bytes? Because we're in 32-bit architecture, okay? Pushes use 8 bytes in 64-bit architecture and 4 bytes in 32-bit architectures and 2 bytes in 16-bit architectures, okay? So we do plus 8 for that reason. So plus 4 takes us over this base pointer. But then you might be wondering, well, why are we doing another plus 4? Because when we do call sum, the return address gets pushed to the stack. So the address of this add instruction gets pushed to the stack, okay? And the reason for that is because when we're done with the subroutine, we need a way of getting back to the next line after the call of sum, right? So that's why we do plus 8, because one of the stored words, they are called words, okay, is the EBP register, which we pushed here. That's 4 bytes. The other stored word is the return address that we added when we called sum. Okay, and that gets added by the processor automatically. We don't have to push that address. The processor does that for us when we use the call instruction. So that's why we do +8. So +8 will jump over the EBP register. It'll jump over the return address, which is invisible here, but it is on the stack. And then the address of EBP +8 will be pointing to the 4-byte value of 50, which we pushed here. Remember, it's only 4 bytes because this is a 32-bit program. If this was 64-bit program, it would be 8 bytes, okay? So that's how +8 on the EBP register gets us to 50. So the ESP registers move to the EBP register, okay? So they're the same value. By doing the +8 on the EBP, takes us here to 50. Then, when we do +12, what does that do? It takes us to the next argument of 20. So then this allows us to move 50 into the EDX register, 20 into the EAX register. And of course we have our add instruction, because here, return x plus y, you know how that works is we say add EAX, EDX. See, so it adds those two together. And then you might be wondering, okay, well, where's the result stored? So how C programs work is they expect return values to be in the EAX register, the accumulator register. So obviously in 64-bit, that'll be RAX. In 32-bit, that'll be EAX. Okay? But as you know, EAX is a part of RAX anyway. So after doing an add instruction, it'll add X and Y, okay? And then the result gets stored in EAX automatically. So then what we do, guys, we pop EBP. Now what's this do? This restores the old base pointer, the one that we pushed here, okay? Because at this point in time, the base pointer that we pushed is on the top of the stack. So when we pop that off and call pop EBP, we're saying get whatever value is on the stack and store it in the EBP register. That's what we're saying. And what was the value on the stack at this time? The base pointer that we pushed here, push EBP. And finally, we call ret. Now what's ret do? That returns from a subroutine. Okay, so what's going to happen is it's going to pop off the address that's on the stack that was pushed when we called the call instruction, and then it's going to jump to that address. Okay, we've already done a lecture on jump. So it's going to jump to that address, which is add ESP8. That's the address that it holds. Okay, so then we leave here and we end up here. Now what does add ESP8 do? Well, because we pushed two values, 20 and 50, we obviously need to restore the stack to a state that is safe, okay? So by doing add ESP8, we essentially restore the stack past these two pushes. So when we do push 20, that pushes 4 bytes because it's 32-bit. And then push 50, that's another 4 bytes. So that's 8 bytes we need to restore, okay? We've already restored the return address when we called ret, okay? So we've only got 8 bytes to restore. So add ESP8 restores the stack to the same state it was at before we did push 20, okay? And then we call leave and ret to leave the main function, okay? So that's how that's working, okay? That's how a stack frame works in C essentially, okay? So I know it's a bit difficult to try to comprehend all of these things, but you don't have to worry because I will give you some code examples that we can write later on in the course together and even test so that you can understand more about how C is working with assembler. So this is the 64-bit example, and it's much more simpler, which is why I showed you the 32-bit example first. So here we have our sum function, okay? Return x plus y. So essentially, in 64-bit assembly, the C compiler expects the first argument to be in the RDI register and the second argument to be in the RSI register, okay? And it follows this format for a many number of variables until it runs out of registers to use, and then it will default to the stack, okay? So, like in the 32-bit mode. So here is what's happening. In our sum function, we push RBP. Now this is 8 bytes now, we're in 64-bit. We're not working with 4-byte words anymore, okay? We're working with 8-byte words. So we push RBP for the same reason in the 32-bit example, to save the base pointer, okay? We move the stack pointer to the base pointer, so we have a reference frame, okay? Now this time things are done a little differently, as you can see. So firstly, init is 4 bytes, okay, in C. even in 64-bit programs. That's why we're using the EDI register instead of the RDI register. Now, why is that? Because RDI contains 32 bits in the higher range, and the lower 32 bits are the EDI register. Okay, so anyone who passes values here, we know that we can access them by accessing EDI, which will give us the lower 32 bits of the RDI register, okay? So what we do is we reserve some local variable space on the stack. Now, how do we do this? It's so easy. We just decrement from the stack, okay? So what we say, RBP minus 4. So that essentially says, okay, we know that the stack pointer is at this address. Let's minus 4 and store that value there. And this is very safe to do because the stack grows downwards, okay? So we move essentially the x variable into the current stack position minus 4, okay? And then we move the y variable value into the current stack position minus 8, okay? Now why minus 4 minus 8? Because in it is 4 bytes in C, okay? So then what we do, guys, we move the x variable RBP minus 4 into the EDX register, and then we move the y variable RBP minus 8 into the EAX register. Finally, we call add EAX EDX, which stores the result in the RAX register, okay? And then the caller can obviously access the RAX register once we've returned from this sum function to get the result. So you might be wondering, this is a really pointless operation because we're essentially moving the values into memory and then moving them back into the CPU registers again. Essentially, I've turned optimization off to show you how C generates assembly under the hood. If you ran this through an optimizer, of course, it would remove these legacy patterns. There's no need to store it in memory and then back into the registers. But this is important for me to demonstrate how this works to you, the stack, okay? Which is why I've turned the optimizer off. So that's how it works, guys. And then obviously pop RBP restores the old base pointer we pushed here, and then we return. So that's how it works. I know it might seem quite complicated, but you can see now why important the stack actually is in processors, okay? It's brilliant. It's a way of creating memory on the fly, and it's a way of saving temporary information where a register won't suffice. So thanks so much for watching this lecture. I appreciate you might be really confused on this. Use this video for reference, so as we continue the course and we start working with the stack and things start making more sense to you, you can rewatch this video and you will understand a lot more about the stack frame stuff, okay? You should know about push and pop at this point, so if you're a bit confused on that, just drop me a comment or a message, okay? But the stack frame stuff, I don't expect you to fully understand at this point, okay? So we'll continue the course. You'll see how we can use the stack frame in real practical examples, and then obviously you can use this video for reference. So thanks so much for watching this video.